I'm watching the world go by these days, and it seems to be very interested in a different direction than what I've taken my life. And it's made me wonder and think, why did I choose religion or spiritual life? And sometimes I don't really feel like I did. It really has always been a part of me, a part of my interest. But I know that it's given me a great deal of pleasure or enjoyment in thinking about the ideal of love. I've spent a lot of time thinking about a universal love or an unconditioned love. And when I've combined that with some of the practices involved in religion, like the meditation, just deep contemplation in the silence of your own mind, and taking an idea like love, unconditioned, that God or the divine is love. And you think about the fact that, well, what would that be like? I mean, love, if you are love itself, what do? Well, you love, and, and you love perfectly, you love purely. And the idea of being exposed to a love like that and being able to generate that ideal within your own self is, I really can't think of anything more beautiful than that. When I read the Ramayana and read about the life of Rama, what a noble character. What an unbelievably inspiring and perfect character Rama was. You know, a great warrior, just full of integrity, full of fairness, always saying the right thing, utterly undefeatable in his in his self, in his being. I mean, everything he did with such excellence and such humility and such perfection. It was a real treat to read that book for the first time and to see all the characters in that book just really flesh out some of the highest thinking of humanity. And in my early days, thinking about Jesus, being willing to submit yourself to the most unjust treatment, to be willing to give up your life, for the people that were doing it, for the people that were causing your suffering, and to have no qualms about that, no fears about that, no regrets about that. What a wonderful ideal that was and is to contemplate. When I met these old swamis when I was wandering in the Himalayas in India, one in particular, Swami Rudrapmananda was his name, lived in a small mud hut by the Ganges River in the woods, a little room, maybe 6 feet by 6 feet, a single shelf in the room, and he owned 3 mats, grass mats. And I stumbled upon him on a hike with my friend Philip, and we used to go into his room once a day for a few days just to hear him chant because of the amount of joy that he conveyed in that chanting. At the time, I had no idea what he was chanting or what text it was or even what language it was. I was just a tourist who stumbled upon this wandering sadhu. But I tell you, those days when I sat there listening to him chant, just watching his face light up with such a joy, such a happiness. And I sat there in that little 6-foot square mud hut looking around and seeing that this man owned nothing, literally nothing, except the little cloth that he was wearing around his waist and a walking stick. And yet the joy that he had, the contentment that was apparent in him, was something that I had never attained in my life. In my days as a yuppie, graduating with my computer science degree and really enjoying what the world had to offer, with all of that preparation and all of that money and all of that education, I never had a moment as contented and joyful as I witnessed in that wandering monk as he sat there chanting his scriptures, his ideal. I think that is what has inspired me. into this life. I don't really know much about the metaphysics in the way that you know things. I have my suspicions. I have some of the, a little few hints in my life that suggest that they may be true, or probably are true. But when I think about how I want to spend my life, whether any of this stuff is, quote, true or not, whether there's any life after death or not, they seem like trivial questions to me in a way. Trivial only because they'll never be answered. How can you know until it's done? But nonetheless, what greater thing is there to spend your life on than the contemplation of a perfect love? What greater thing is there to spend a life on than to think and care about others, to come up with ideas of how to serve better, how to be less selfish, how to be more caring and aware of other people's needs? When I think about what to spend life on, love as a highest ideal is the one that stands head and shoulders above everything else that I've experienced in my 57 years. That to me is what spiritual life has been about and is about.